It's nice to be doing this in the comfort of our own homes, isn't it? Separately.
Oh, there's a bit of delay.
Yeah, yeah. Watch out for
There's
that. No, after you.
No, it's not going to work. You just go first.
You first. Honestly, you go. Hello and welcome to episode 40 of I'm Fine, a chat between myself, Damo, and my podcast partner in crime, my co-driver, my wingman, my sidecar, my weighted comfort blanket, my muse, my supraventricular tachycardic heart, Mark.
Sounds like an epitaph.
So a chat around the subjects of health, wealth, well-being, fitness, sport and common sense. We're all work in progress and this podcast is no exception. In short, it's a poke at our perfectly imperfect lives, and if we can make just one person feel like they're not alone in all this madness, I haven't done that for a while, then our work here is done. If you haven't already subscribed to us, then please do so, as that way you'll never miss an episode, or at least never not be aware our episode's coming out, which doesn't mean you won't actually miss an episode, and that's pretty much down to you.
Well, today I got an email from Sam Harris, who I have subscribed to and I've paid. He's monetised it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten about Sam Harris.
Banging on about him last week.
Yeah. But hadn't been listening to him.
Oh, right.
And he did.
Yeah, I got the email as well.
Did you listen to it? It's a great. It's 28 minutes.
I got time for that.
Even you can do that.
Yeah, probably could.
It's very good. I'm thinking of doing something similar. In fact, probably the same. I'll probably do what what's her face did the Vice President Nick Martin Luther King's speech.
Yeah.
From Playboy.
Well, you lost me.
I got a bit fast then, didn't I?
You have, yeah. Just calm it down a little bit.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hasn't she made a speech recently? Hasn't she made a speech recently that was basically one that Martin Luther King did back in the day? And
I don't know.
She sort of plagiarised.
Oh, did she? Okay.
Yeah. No. Might be wrong. Might have to edit this.
Didn't Ivana completely plagiarise Michelle Obama's speech?
Yeah.
That was like a word for word as well. Plagiarise, is that the right word?
Yeah, it's a great word.
So coming up in this, you didn't let me finish my intro, but it was fine.
It was fine. An appropriate interruption.
Oh, that's all right then. Warm up and stretch. We've got some catching up to do, a couple of bookmarks in Work-Life Ballet. We're investing in us and also investing in Bristol, which we haven't touched on yet.
Yeah.
We've had this one in the bag, haven't we?
Yeah, I think it's about to fly.
Is it? Don't build it up. Please.
Well, no, I've got a good news story, haven't I?
Have you?
Can you see my Insta story? The clothing.
Actually, I'm busy today. Got a job.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, yeah. And in Brain Food, we're off to Vegas again. We're definitely off to Vegas this time.
Yeah, with notes.
You've come in with your...
copious.
With your big wad of material.
Yeah.
Oh, you've narrowed it down to 3 pages. of both sides printed in small type. Okie dokie. Better get the coffee in, right? So, how are you? All right? You seem very bubbly today.
Yeah, I don't want to... like I'm now going to sort of like try and...
Say, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Trying to break that
Suggest
down. Why am I bubbly today?
You could just tell.
Yeah.
We've got tells, haven't we? You came in and said I'd wash my hair.
I said that you'd washed your hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't announce that I'd washed mine. No. That sounds vain.
Shouted from the rooftops.
It's been a good day.
Which is true. It was a very good observation. Yeah, I said it's a new year, new me, only shower of the year. So I'll go for it.
So far. Yeah. I think 2 things. One is preparing this stuff on the vagus nerve and then listening to a podcast about a woman talking about the vagus nerve made me feel quite like proper. Because normally it's like seat of the pants, isn't it? Right. You'll go, now Mark's going to talk on this.
Reach the big leagues.
Yeah.
Big boy pant podcast territory, right?
Yeah. And there was a lovely tie-in that would have just been so classic, except the very final bit of this wasn't true. So I'm going to just leap to the first paragraph of vagus nerve. Now.
As a little amuse-bouche.
Yeah. Clickbait.
Yeah, great.
This was my paragraph. I actually wrote it like properly.
Oh, okay, good.
So it said, several pods ago, I referred to the vagus nerve in glowing terms, as if I'd just found a panacea for our mortal struggle. And despite my usual ebullience, I thought it might be worth doing some proper research rather than just launch into my usual scientific diatribe that is at the level of the old school show Magpie or How.
Or How.
Yeah. So How, back in the day, How ! Was a magazine type program.
Right.
And they did the greeting of the Native American how.
Right.
So
that's why you did that.
I was looking into it because I thought if I'm going to reference a retro show,
Yeah.
most people, because I was looking again at our geographical spread, there's going to be, I'm guessing, some people in Tanzania that didn't have how.
Yeah, most likely.
Or other places. So they then made how to, but the number 2,
Very
which
clever.
I thought was a bit,
Yeah.
And that included Carol Vorderman,
Oh,
which I didn't know.
a young Carol.
Well, younger than she is now, because it was 25 years ago.
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't know how
How's
much
that work?
time travel. So, and I said, although that fact may fascinate you, it coincides with me discovering that Carol Vorden was a diddy man.
Vorden.
Vorderman was a diddy man with Ken Dodd.
It's like being hit by a machine gun tonight. You know that.
So I had a discussion with someone and we had talked about Ken Dodd and the Diddy Men.
Oh, yes.
And they'd said, oh, yeah, the Diddy Men were puppets. And I said, no, the Diddy Men were real.
Were they real short people?
Well, this is what I didn't know. So I thought
Okay.
I'd look it up, whether they were real short people or whether they were
You've done
children.
a bit of deep nesting on the internet today,
Yeah.
haven't you?
So we had this discussion and my friend that I was talking to was entirely right. Most of the TV shows had puppets.
Yes.
But on his stage shows, Ken Dodd had working people. And it wasn't clear who was in it, but it did say in Wikipedia, Carol Vorderman was one of Ken Dodd's Diddy Men.
Okay.
And I thought, perfect circle.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and Carol Vorderman won Fancy Dress Prize on Prestatyn Pier in the 70s, dressed as a Diddy Man. She never was a Diddy Man.
Oh, it's another one of our urban myths then.
Myths. But
Excellent.
when I started looking into...
It's not a popular one. It's not what I've heard.
No. But when I started looking into Ken Dodd, I just felt a wee bit uncomfortable.
This stuff was of a time,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
I don't know,
The
just-
fact he was using small people as... Were they small?
I still don't know who the Diddy Men were. I didn't. I stopped when
So
I
what were you
realised that
uncomfortable
Carol.
about? Just his humour?
Yeah, I just think that he was quite a strange character. I always thought. I always
Yeah.
felt when I was watching him on the TV just a little bit unsettled by him.
Uh-huh.
And he had a tickling stick, which always made me.
Yeah.
He did come up with a good one-liner though. He said with his tickling stick, a lot
Or
of
just
people.
one good line.
Yeah.
60 years of comedy. Fair play. And which was?
Well, he was a Scouser, wasn't he? And all Scousers are inherently funny.
It's true.
His line was, someone had said, "My tickling stick is sexual," and he went, "That's just a fallacy."
That's very good.
So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Apart
Have
from
you just,
introducing how
pardon the expression, but you've just blown your load too early?
I've done my introduction.
That's just an intro. Because this was meant to be a tease, and you've just, that's about half the podcast gone.
But people have heard Panacea for Our Mortal Struggle and they're hooked.
I did like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful wordsmithing.
Thank you.
Um,
I might write you my depressing poem later if you're lucky.
yeah.
Or
looking
read
forward to
you.
it.
I said ride you, didn't I?
I know what you got in mind. You're not made of wood.
I didn't. You haven't seen my test results. Testosterone, you said it's average for a horse.
Got you. Oh, we've got lots to get through. So, where are we? How are we? You're good, right? That's good.
You're good.
Yeah, not bad, thank you. I've had a day of talking, so this is just what I needed. Thank you for... No, this is what you got me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you said the other day, I've got your Christmas present, but it's not coming till like the 2nd of January, whatever it was. And I totally forgot about it. So the postman delivered this morning, and I had to check it was you.
Yeah.
It had to be because no one else would...
Bother.
Oh, yeah, one. But you've bought me a subscription to Viz magazine, which is awesome. Thanks.
Good.
A couple of things. It comes in like a clear bag, so
Okay.
everyone can see, which is okay. I mean, I was joking on text, wasn't I? Saying, have you just got me a
So most of your
subscription
magazines coming round raffing then. You thought this is
No, because I
different.
made a joke about, was it you who sent me the Razzle subscription?
Yeah.
But my other magazines just come in an envelope. They don't come in.
Yeah.
I don't mind. It doesn't really say much about you if you read Viz, does it? But
No.
I'm familiar with it, but I don't think I've ever read one ever. It was always,
Okay.
and
It's
I
just
always knew
hanging
about
around
it. Yeah, it was
somewhere
always
you-
the older kids on the bus at school had them. So I was aware of, they probably don't have them anymore, but I was aware of the Fat Slags. I'm sure they probably,
Yeah.
do they still have them?
I think
Is
so.
Viz gone PC
No, I
these
don't think
days?
so.
I don't.
No. I love the letters. I was reading out, I got a Viz annual, which I loved for Christmas, and I was reading out the letter page.
Yeah.
And it's just it's almost like if you don't get it, you'll never get it.
Yeah.
And my girls were going, that's just stupid. But
Yeah, it's cool. Thank you.
cool, pleasure.
We're not going to talk about the pandemic
No. I was going
because
to
there's plenty of people doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out someone we're kind of familiar with, Ivor Cummings.
Mm.
I'm just going to mention his name
Mm-hmm.
and go and check him out. He's also known as the Fat Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put a link to them in the show notes, and that's all I'm going to say on the matter.
Okay. Can I have one say without talking about it?
How are you going to do that?
By the power of mime.
Yeah, interpretive dance.
Here I go. Did you get it?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I couldn't possibly describe that.
So I was going to put up an Insta story, and then I thought better. I don't want to talk about the pandemic. I don't want to have an opinion. No. So I'm going to tell you what I didn't say.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah. That's
and the relevance of this is that we talked some time ago on several pods about the power of retrospection, of going, actually, I could have seen that coming. Yeah, I think we talked about it on lockdown 1, about how if we'd known there was going to be a lockdown, not stocking up with toilet paper, but we could have thought, I'll get a bit of food in, or I'll fill up my car with petrol just in case. Not panic buying.
Sure.
I heard someone today, it was Sam Harris in his monologue, and it made me think the first person in the UK to die of COVID was February of last year.
Okay. Officially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so we've had a year. Sam Harris then mentioned Moderna and how basically they came to their way of finding the vaccine like over a weekend. They went, we're going to try this. But they've been looking into various things, but literally it worked that quickly. So I went back and looked at Moderna and looked at news items, and it's true. Okay. Like literally in the spring, Moderna were going, we're setting up trials in April of X number of people to test this vaccine. I didn't know about that. No. I didn't know it was... So in July, they had completed their first tests and going, we need to test more, but this is looking good. Mm-hmm. And what went through my mind was, a year ago, someone died from COVID. 6 months ago, a large, well, not large, because Moderna's small compared with Pfizer, but an advanced pharmaceutical company went, we're well on the way here, guys. Nobody in this country has organised people getting an injection in their arm. Yeah. What was it today that Health Service said that there's not going to be any vaccinations on a Sunday? And it's like, this is a pandemic. We could be doing this 24/7. We could just have it at every McDonald's.
Apparently there's 11,000 people signed up to volunteer. And they've got 277 of them through or something.
But you've seen some of the questions they have to ask, like links with terrorist organisations and things like that. I heard someone
on the radio going, I've been putting needles in arms most of my life. He's a doctor. he's not a psychopath. Yeah. And his wife did it as well. And he said, I've answered all the first questions. I submitted them all.
Yeah.
And then I went through to what was the second round. And then there's all this stuff on radicalisation. It's just like, it's beyond me.
But they're not using pharmacies, and pharmacies do the flu jab. There is something wrong with this.
Yeah,
there's 11,000 pharmacies in this country, and I looked it up.
It's like the ball is on the goal line, right? The goalie's knackered on the penalty spot, and it's just no one's kicking the ball over the line, are they?
No, Johnson's trying to head it, but
diving header.
I was looking at flu jabs last year, and I looked at this quickly. There was something like, and people can correct me, but I think there was around 14 million flu jabs. Mm-hmm. The flu jab season is quite small, isn't it? You don't get flu jabs in May, June, July, August. It's around pre-winter and then just into the winter. So 14 million were done, and that's using pharmacies and doctor surgeries. I'm hearing today that Ashton Gate Stadium is being a vaccination centre. It doesn't make sense to me. We've known for a year. We could have this plan worked out 2 months ago. When the vaccine is approved, everything goes. Why now are we interviewing volunteers when we have the vaccine, when we've known that the only way out of this 6 months ago was getting a vaccine? It was
always coming.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you're looking back and going, when the vaccine comes out, what should we do? As a government, what should we do? What we'll do is we'll start recruiting people. No. Recruit them in June. And if you never use them, it doesn't matter.
They won't mind.
It's just, this is beyond me. This really made me angry today. They haven't even planned something that they've had a year to plan for.
Yeah. Inexcusable, isn't it? Was that everything that you weren't going to talk about?
I just want to... I'll tell you what, on the last podcast, I was pissing myself. I went...
It was your own joke?
No. It was the intonation in one of your words. It was brilliant. It was... There's a few stories you wanted answering, and you went... First of all, I missed a really good joke, because you went about... the guy falling off his bike and getting arrested, and you went, were they related? And that was a great one. I didn't go. I was going to go, they were like conjoined twins. Yeah. And then I said, but I have got an interesting story about the pamphlet. And you went, how long? And I went, 3 minutes. And you went, reckon? It was 8.5, wasn't it?
Yes. Edited.
So, I thought that summed up our year. you asking me to say something briefly, and like this, the pandemic, that I'm not even going to mention.
We'll cut all this out. Don't worry about it. Absolute wasted breath.
Yeah.
I found a little quote. It's a bit random.
Okay.
There's a drummer I follow called Benny Greb. A bit useful on the old Skins. And it kind of occurred to me, he's kind of linked music with life stuff, I guess. So he said, the key to success, being adaptive and flexible. If it doesn't sound right, change it. So just talking about, drum style, musical style, whatever. But that can apply to anything. I thought it was quite nice,
Just say it again.
The key to success is being adaptive and flexible. If it doesn't sound right, change it.
Okay.
And we kind of adopt that at work. We just try something that doesn't work. You just move on and do it quickly. And that happens in music all the time in terms of style, musical styles, and try a drum fill or a chop. And if it doesn't work, you just try another one and try it again. Or keep, you don't have to keep doing the stuff that you don't enjoy doing. So I think it's quite simple and probably sounds quite obvious, but I quite liked it.
It was I've just listened to Harry and Meghan's Silky.
You're so into them now. I knew you were a closet monarchist.
And they had Brioni. I always get her name wrong. Brioni.
I want to say Brené because it's got accents, isn't it?
Yeah. Brené was
Brown.
Yeah.
We're good with names.
And so that was my little quote that I was going to bring to the table today, which was, she was saying something about her workplace. And she said, one thing we've done is unlearn and relearn. And I thought that's quite interesting because we always talk about learning. And I was saying for my new year, like learning and being better.
Yeah.
But I think that bit of unlearning is almost
I kind of talk
as
about
important.
That, taking stuff out.
Yes, exactly.
Just the stuff you don't do is often just as important, right? I guess that's a similar thing.
Yeah.
We did touch on a little bit of climate change, didn't we, in cows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then, I don't know where I saw it. It must have been on Instagram or something, but Wired had an article, classic kind of, I just thought it was bullshit, classic kind of clickbait title, but it says, this burp catching mask for cows could slow down climate change. I was like, shut up. And it's like methane from cattle accounts for a significant amount of global warming, which it does. That's the thing I didn't say in that podcast. On alone, it's about 16, 17%. When you apply it to land use, I can't remember the actual proper phrase, but it becomes really big. But so startup Zelp has a comfortable and stylish solution. I'm going to show you a picture of this. What is that?
It's a cow with a mask. But
there you go.
Shouldn't it be over its bum?
No, it's about burps, not about farts.
Okay.
Bear with me. There are 1.6 billion cattle on Earth, and their burps and farts are becoming a big problem. Cows expel methane, a colourless and odourless gas, which is approximately 84 times more potent than carbon dioxide when it comes to warming the planet. As a result, according to a recent report by the Institute for Agriculture and Trade Policy, the combined greenhouse gas emissions of America's 13 largest dairy companies are equivalent to those of some major fossil fuel giants. Zelp, a UK-based company, has developed a potential solution in the form of a burp-catching face mask for cows, designed to reduce methane emissions from the cattle by 60%. Cool, huh? The mask fits comfortably on a cow's head with a zip tie. I mean, basically looks like a cow with a gimp mask on.
How can a cow do a zip?
What? No, someone puts it on for him.
All right, okay. Her.
Well, you can have boy cows.
You can have cowboys. You can't have boy cows. You can have cowgirl, forward or reverse.
No, let's move on. The mask fits comfortably on a cow's head with a zip-like tie mechanism, allowing it to be adjusted, my mum listens to this, to various cattle head sizes. Shut up. Rawhide.
Bonanza. Or in case you don't get any of these references, the Virginian.
I don't know what that is.
It's old, 70s.
Oh, yeah. Showing your age. Can I talk about this cow mask, please?
Yeah, well, you have.
You're bored. You're just trying to move me on.
Yeah.
I'm almost finished.
Okay.
It is applied to the cattle after they are weaned, usually 6 to 8 months of age. Oh. And it sits next to the nostrils, allowing the tool to capture methane from their breathing, belches and burps. Around 95% of the cattle's methane emissions come from their nostrils and mouths.
Okay. Interesting.
This biologist explains. The technology detects, captures and oxidizes methane when it's exhaled by the animals.
Be interesting what the filter is, because we had this discussion the other day when you were chucking copious amounts of coffee grounds out, and Starbucks always have it, don't they? Please take these to improve your garden.
Oh, that's right. And you said you couldn't.
It gives off methane.
Yeah, because you have form in this.
Yeah. So when the mushrooms have gone through the coffee, they remove the methane in part of the growing process.
So you can put mushrooms straight in there because they remove that. But if you just shoved it on your garden, it's probably not so good, right?
I mean, it is a soil improver, but it does actually give off methane. But we used to sell coffee grounds to local farmers after the mushrooms had been in it, because it was a high level. It was more than just a soil improver. But yeah, no, that's interesting. I hadn't realised it was that end that was the problem.
Don't even think about the other end.
No.
Sean Baker. No, I've only watched that film you sent me. I need to catch up with that podcast.
Sean Baker was on Joe Rogan.
Okay.
That was the 2-hour one, which I loved. Yeah.
Okay, I need to get into that. The video is brilliant. We did put a link up to it, but it's really good.
Yeah.
And it just made me think, and I wrote a little bit, not as kind of as nice as yours, but I thought this is a great example that if every farmer to consumer supply chain has such a considerate, compassionate, progressive, science-based, sustainable outlook as the example he gave in that video, then the world would be in amazing shape, wouldn't it?
Yeah. This is one of the things sometimes on the pod that I go, wish there was some way I could grab 5 minutes of everyone who's listening to this
and just have a look. Yeah.
Just say, just watch this for 5 minutes. I felt so warm. And ironically, I went back to the person that I'd had the original discussion about.
Right.
And he went, that was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I went, it makes you want to be a farmer.
Oh, you texted me that, didn't you?
Yeah, but he said the same.
Right. Okay.
And it was a lovely 5 minutes of just like what the world should be about.
Yeah.
And it wasn't there with an undercurrent of
it wasn't.
trying to sell something.
It was fascinating. And I think you even think about education. If that was played in school, I would have been fascinated by that. Yeah. You'd get into biosciences, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
In a heartbeat, watching stuff like
that. In 5 minutes, it summed up what a good farm looks like.
Yeah. And it's proven, and it's possible that, I guess, a symbiosis can exist between carnivores and vegans, industrialists and environmentalists alike.
Yeah.
Play to win.
You've looked up.
No, I haven't actually.
His races.
I haven't, but you said you had a story about the race it lost. Was it a fix? Was he mugged off?
I reckon I can do this in 3 minutes.
Steward's inquiry? 3 minutes, yeah. Go for it.
I can't do it in 3 minutes.
I'm not going to run out of tape.
No. Okay, so few of us bought share in it.
In your racehorse?
In your racehorse when I was a bookie. And
how much did you pay, just out of interest? Are you allowed to divulge?
It wasn't a lot. And of course,
is this when
it
you
was
kind
guineas.
of tell all your nearest and dearest? Oh no, I didn't spend much on it at all.
the
guineas? What's a guinea? Oh, how much? Oh yeah, they
guinea
do
is
talk in
like
guineas, don't they?
a pound and a shilling.
Oh god,
so
that doesn't help me.
So it would be a pound and a 20th of a pound.
Okay.
So a pound and 5p. I don't know what I think the guinea was that it was invented because like the extra bit was like a tax or a tip or something.
Okay.
Anyway, I can't remember how much I paid. That's the honest thing. The only one thing I could remember was that what I was paying for its upkeep was more than I was paying for my own upkeep at the time in terms of food and lodgings.
Right, yeah. You think, what's this thing eating?
Yeah.
Fine wines and caviar by the looks of it.
Snails by the
speed
of it.
Right. I guess did everyone... So if you buy a horse, say you buy 15% of a horse, do you then contribute 15%?
Yeah, everything.
Everything is split by your share?
Yeah, you're a consortium.
Okay, cool.
Before I had that, I used to race snails, and they didn't do very well, so I took the shell off, but it just made it more sluggish. So
I'm putting a sound effect in there. You're not stopping me doing that.
So, and I did it on breeding. It was bought because it was related to a Derby winner, and the Derby being the ultimate 1.5-mile flat race. It was, and I saw something in that. So yeah, I am going to be brief. First race it ran, it came about 10th of 16, and the trainer rang me up and went, "It ain't going to do any better than 10th out of 16. We don't expect much, but it has got some potential." Second time it ran.
What'd you say to that? Bucky, you better try a bit harder then.
No, it was sort of like...
Or they kind of, are they lowering the bar for you, you know what I mean?
It was...
Setting an expectation.
It was basically saying we'd raced it in quite a good race. We didn't expect anything, but it's run okay for its first run for a 2-year-old. And when you think like horses at 2 years old, having that power and that... So second race rang up, and of course didn't
Is that why it was small? Because it was 2 years old?
All the ones it was racing against were 2.
Are they fully grown? Oh, I don't know how it works. Hold on, they don't do age groups for horses. Horse is a horse, right?
Yeah, but it was racing in... No, yeah. So you can't... There are some races that would just be on age.
So are they full size at 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not big, just like a...
Putting your hand there is about my waist. So second race, he went, "I think we're on for this." So he put it in what's called a selling stakes. And this is always a risky business. A selling stakes means the horse goes up for auction at the end of the race.
Huh?
I know, it sounds daft.
That sounds upsetting.
It sounds upsetting. But the thinking, the selling stakes is a low quality race. So basically, even if you win a selling stakes, nobody really wants you.
Oh.
But you have to give that option. And because it hadn't run very well in the bigger race, he went, "But I know it can run well in a selling. Nobody's going to want it. It'll just come back to us."
Okay.
Of course, there's no internet, so there's no way of actually keeping in touch. You get the odd phone call or a letter going like, you know.
Oh, you wait for the Racing Post to come out the next day.
Well, we listened to the commentary, obviously, because I was working in the betting shop. So the commentary came, and it went down an awful lot in price, which suggests there was a lot of money going on it, probably from the stable, because people know a horse is going to run well. It isn't.
Right.
Some of it's fixed, some of it isn't. Sometimes you just got a horse that on paper doesn't look too good, but on grass looks better.
Right.
The commentary was basically into the final furlong, play to win, two lengths clear, and I'm there, big cigar, glass of port.
Yeah.
And
be on shift at the time.
Play to win, a length clear, late finisher from blah, 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 this other horse. Getting close, photo finish.
Ooh, exciting.
Lost the photo. One of the things was that
had a small nose.
Yes.
Shot by a nose.
Why the long face? If only a long face. Anyway, long story short, there was an apprentice who was on basically a work placement from South Africa from the same stable as my trainer, riding some absolute no-hope horse who absolutely rode the bollocks off it and beat mine. So everybody was going like, no. Then I think it's maybe the first 3 that go up for sale. It then went for auction, and there was someone there going, yeah, I want that horse that came second, started bidding for it. So the trainer had to outbid him to keep his own horse or my horse. Because obviously I didn't want it sold, or we didn't, the consortium.
Right. God, it's very complicated.
It's very complicated. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sort of going like, I've told all my mates. Do you know what I mean? This was, anyway, third time it ran, I was on my stag night in Le Mans, my stag week.
We've talked about that,
yeah.
Yeah. So you're picking grit out of your thigh.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, this was progressed. This was the day I got back, it was racing. So I'm still in customs being held.
Have we done that story?
I think I might have mentioned
it. Because the wheel you've stolen.
Well, the wheel, also my mountain bike was crashed. Yeah. Also, there was about 6 of us in the back of the van.
Right.
And also we had
Anything else to declare?
We had a lot of police do not enter tape, but that was from a prank. I'll tell you about that one day. So anyway, when we got through customs, there was a lot for them to look through.
Yeah.
And I'm going, it's the 3:30 at Newmarket. Never got out. Of course, the bugger won.
Oh, right.
So that was that.
That was the one it won, but you missed.
Yeah. So it came first and it came second, which is good. If horse racing isn't something to invest in and make money from. So
did it have a nice life after its racing?
It went jumping. That was the thing I said to you.
You did,
I don't think it ever got over one.
Oh.
So, but I think it was just retired to a nice meadow.
Yeah, I'd like to think
and
that.
it just frolicked.
Did it change it? Did they change its name?
Try to win.
Yeah.
No overwinning.
Yeah. Close but no cigar.
Yeah.
Okay, work-life ballet. We had a little section the other day talking about Invest in Us, didn't we?
Yeah, I like that title as well.
Yeah, we talked about having our blood tests, which we have now done.
Yes.
And we both have the results.
I literally just
nothing serious, thankfully. So yeah, you literally just got what?
Yeah, like literally just before
you came here.
So really efficient. I thought the one thing as well was that
it took longer to come than it did to do and get the results.
24 hours. I posted mine at 4 o'clock yesterday and got the results by 5 o'clock today.
No, it was good. We did it because we were talking a lot about vitamin D, talking about how much you take. Yeah. And I take some, but we've no real idea how much is staying in us.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. I guess it's all just leaking out somewhere. So we thought we'd do that. We added, we had cortisol in.
We added cortisol.
But yours didn't.
Mine didn't come through. Testosterone we added
in there.
I think that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And then I think we've got 17 or 18 biomarkers done.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it is. I think the interesting thing in terms of getting that done is that it's that little bit about effective altruism. It's sort of putting your money where your mouth is. It's fine sitting here and going, you should have vitamin D, you should take these tablets. And then if I get a test that goes, you're deficient in vitamin D, then I need to have a close look at myself. So, so I got the results. Literally, I haven't really fully looked at them.
Have you looked at I'm interested to see the vitamin D ones.
Are we comparing and contrasting?
Well, I don't know. It's not a competition. If I beat you on vitamin D, I'd probably run around here with my top over my head. Honestly, I think I would. I'm not competitive, but I'd definitely rub that one in your face.
Hang on. Yeah, I only want to compare the ones I'm good at. Oh, all of them.
I had lots which were literally bang in the middle or bang on average, and I just felt really average. But I guess that's all right, isn't it?
You want to be in the middle of normal.
It was just
like up to the red.
Literally trying to bleed myself out. I could have died. I lost so much blood.
Well, Well, the interesting thing was I thought that would summarize our two approaches to life. Like, I didn't read the leaflet.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I used 3 lancets, sticking needles
Still couldn't
like
fill the
some sort
tube.
of voodoo doll. Yeah, but I didn't read the leaflet for all the things that you should have done.
It was like a scene from Reservoir Dogs, was it, when you'd finished?
Yeah. So what was your magnesium? God, this is great listening, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. This is like top trumps, isn't it?
Yeah.
One moment. Magnesium. Hold on.
See, just while you're looking, I don't know whether this is something where it says borderline high. I'm thinking, do I want to be borderline high?
Yeah.
Or is that high as in, oh, too much magnesium, you're going to set off security gates?
Yeah. You're more metal than Barry Sheen.
Mickey.
Metal Mickey.
Yeah.
I used to love that.
So
what about magnesium?
Yeah.
Mine says normal.
Me too.
It says 0.85 mmol.
Yeah.
I don't even know what these things mean.
Yeah, there's 2. It's a bit like I was saying with vitamin D. There's 2. There's mmol and there's something, I think, NCG. I don't know why everything in the medical profession seems to have to be measured in 2 different units, but I guess it's like inches and centimetres and stuff, isn't it?
Okay, 0.85.
I was 0.9, so hand me over your magnesium card.
Okay, yeah, you take that one.
Okay, so I'm going to lead. Come in strong with me vitamin D. Best of 3, okay? Okay, my vitamin D, the average for my age, because obviously we're being marked on different averages. This is 60 to 64.
What is?
It was this bloody teenage. So what's the average?
That's why you win everything.
No,
because you're just better because you're good at it, but you're even better because you're older. I know how it works.
No, because
mine would look brilliant as well if I just upped the bracket, wouldn't it?
No, I'm not saying for where I come with all the other oldies. So the average for
we're just comparing. You just move the goalposts. It's not about age. We're just having a look at what we've got, right?
Right. Well, forget the age then. So, what's your vitamin D?
81.5 mmol.
You need to get out more. 124.
That's good.
One last one. Well, we'll choose one more.
So you're not so 175 to 180 is borderline high.
Yeah, which is interesting because the amount I'm taking, I don't know whether there's an age thing. I'm high up in the normal, but I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is in some ways a good thing if I'm taking a high dose.
Yeah,
but it isn't.
I'm pretty confident I wouldn't have been there if I hadn't have been taking it every day, which I have for.
Well, 73% of people who have COVID are deficient, and the deficient amount is a lot less than we've got. What else? We'll talk about cholesterol on another day because there's good and bad cholesterol. Cholesterol gets a lot of bad press, so I don't want to just
as it's the only thing I'm going to win at is the cholesterol. Because mine's really high. Mine's gone in the red and off the charts.
Mine's
but
high.
we're not going to talk about that.
No.
Okay, all right.
You can choose one more. I think my cholesterol's as high as yours.
Why don't we take ferritin? Because it makes me laugh. It's got ferritin. Got ferritin in it. So the amount of ferritin in the blood reflects the total level of iron stored within your body. Okay, so this is good because with my iffy stomach, I thought something might be inflamed. But mine says normal 173 UG.
Yeah, mine's 74, which is very low.
Yeah.
Often caused by iron deficiency.
Does it say low? Does it actually flagged as red, or you're within normal, but it's low?
So maybe I need to just have a little look at. And I think this is the key thing on this, is that you have some.
Because you'd have no idea, would you?
And it's like you might see people who go, I'm deficient in iron because of X, Y, and Z, or, women who have heavy menstrual cycles. Mm-hmm. And, there's a whole number of physical considerations where you could go, oh, I need to up the iron a little bit. But I didn't think about that. And I'm thinking I have a lot of red meat, so I'm fine. Yeah. And I am. But
also your body might process it in a different way.
Exactly.
So
and now I've got
just doesn't keep it, for example.
Yeah, which will be really interesting because one of the things they're doing at the moment is selling 2 tests so that you can do in about 6 months' time, have a comparison.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think one of the things I'm going to do, and maybe do it through the pod, is go, this is a bit low. I'm going to find out why I'm low. I'm going to find out what the repercussions of being low are. Yeah. Although it's within the normal group. I don't want iron going down any further. None of us have got anything
to worry about.
No.
By the looks of it, which is good. But
no, so that would be interesting. And it's an education as well to know about these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll just take one other random. I don't know. What should we do? Calcium. I'll tell you what, I'll just spin my phone and testosterone.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
No, you go first. Bearing in mind testosterone does go down with age, so I am going to use the age thing here.
I am just over average.
Whoa.
Mine is 18.6 mmol. What are you then?
38.7.
Huh? All right.
It's fairly high on there.
Jeez. You are in the. Yeah, I said, have you got any that are kind of high? And that's red.
Yeah, but that's good high. That's like
That's the big strong emoji, isn't it? You know, the arm emoji, the bicep emoji.
This is as good as getting an A in English literature.
Yeah.
I did feel like I was looking at my O-level results.
Do you feel
when
really
they came in.
manly?
Yeah.
I feel like
Less manly. But then you haven't had
feel
40
like
years of being
I feel
in
like
the gym,
a prepubescent boy right now.
Yeah, I'm going to do the whole of this podcast in
I
like
feel
that.
like a prepubescent.
In that sort of Charles Atlas pose. All
So
joking.
well done for you.
Yeah, thank you. But all joking aside, this is more important than other than the sort of jokey bit of this.
You've been serious now. So
Yeah, no, this is really serious. And this isn't about, I'm pleased it's high because in a way, the reason I mentioned that is that is the biomarker that is the biggest indication of what I am doing physically, diet-wise.
Is it?
Because to get to that level, you have to do stuff. So testosterone is something like we've said there. There's a linear, and always only 1% a year or whatever.
Yeah.
This is something that I've actively tried to keep up through intensity of training. And I think it isn't just, oh, he's high in testosterone and all the sort of obvious jokes. Those aren't relevant.
I mean, who'd make such?
Yeah, such crass. And your
Children
pubescent boy with his copy of Viz.
Sniggering with Finbar Saunders. Yeah.
But the point I'm making is that when you were saying last time, one of the things that interested you is sarcopenia. We've been flagging up things that you can actually, not you, one can change.
Yeah.
For that result to show that in a way that justifies a lot of the things that I'm doing, because without any steroid use and without anything else, I've been able to turn back something that deteriorates with age.
Yeah.
And then so the sort of badge of honor on that isn't, oh, my figure's really high, but it becomes a confirmation that what I've been doing has been positive.
Yeah, that is really good.
What I would then like to do is look at the other markers and go, okay, you need to look at yourself on one or two of the other things.
Yeah.
If your iron is a little bit close.
And it's good to know it's not mumbo jumbo as well. And they haven't just lots of people could have done that and had no one to talk to, no point of reference, no one to compare it to. They might have to wait 180 days to do the next one and get some kind of. Yeah. But so it's good to know that it's come out as you'd expected.
Yeah.
Which is
and other things that haven't quite come out.
And I don't know why I would be so dubious of it. You know what I mean? Because
it's a proper lab, isn't it? It's not someone guessing.
Some bloke. Yeah.
We started about this as investing in us. So now what we've done is we've got hard information that we can work on.
Yeah.
And we will go into cholesterol at some other stage because it is very misunderstood. But my cholesterol has to be kept artificially low through statins.
And is it?
No, but I've stopped taking statins.
Oh.
Because obviously I know more than doctors and consultants.
Don't you? Yeah.
I'm not as pro statins as
again, you're aware, aren't you?
Yeah.
And
so I've looked at this and I've made
a
a decision. Okay, you've made your decision why you stopped statins. I'm going to go back onto the statins, see what happens to my cholesterol.
Yeah.
And if it matches what it should do,
then
I've made an informed decision.
Yeah.
And I am invested in me.
The other invest in as part of our Invest in a series. Talking about investing in Bristol. Now we're going to be a little bit more, no, not going to be a little bit more. We're going to be more Bristol centric, more Bristol focused.
Yes.
It's obviously where you're born and bred. It's something that's been my home for 20 years.
Yeah.
It feels good and right at this time to kind of to support local, think about local. And, you know, we talk about the environment a lot, don't we? So I think kind of connecting literally with our environment and the people and things that are in it and the ecosystems that are in it. That's something we're going to do. And we did this, we made this decision a while ago and we almost put it in one of the other pods, but we thought we'd give it a bit of time. But there's 2 organisations we've decided to support as a pod this year.
Yeah.
The first one's the Soil Association.
Yeah, which you alluded to 4 or 5 ago, I think, briefly.
We obviously talked about the environment a lot. We kind of talked about that thing we put on Instagram, the bug in the soil, and just it's interesting how important the soil is. We touched on it with the food as well, and the cows. And if you're going to start anywhere, if we start with the soil, and go on from there, then it is probably the best place to start.
And
because without that, we're all screwed.
Yeah,
I mean, there's lots of things that without that, we're all screwed, but soil is really, really important.
Yeah.
We have subscribed to them. So for those who don't know, the Soil Association was formed in 1946 and it's the only UK charity working across the spectrum of human health, the environment and animal welfare. They campaign for change. They support farming innovation. They serve healthy food and look at healthy food programs, help to grow the organic markets. A lot of the food has Soil Association
Yeah.
So
stamp on it,
certification,
yeah.
which probably lots of people have seen. They work to develop world-leading standards in food production and food processing. They protect the forests, and they do lots of other things. So we'll
Yeah.
probably be dipping in and out
Yeah.
of what they're up to
Yeah.
and following the campaigns that they do, and just kind of try and give them a little bit more.
And that ties in also nicely with what a discussion we had a while ago when I've been saying about the mushrooms, about the area of land in Bristol that had such a good quality of soil, but then they put a car park on top of it.
Yeah.
That was to do with Avon Wildlife Trust. So again, another local.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that fits in well.
The other one, do you want to talk about the other one?
I don't know that much other than it's called Bristol Cable,
Yeah.
and it's a free paper, and they sort of advocate having a sort of subscription more to support them and their work rather than you're not actually buying the paper per se. I think it is.
Yeah. So the Bristol Cable is 100% owned by thousands of local people.
Yeah.
They produce quality local journalism in print and online, and it's free to access for all.
Yeah.
This is from their website. Together, we hold power to account through groundbreaking investigations. We campaign for change, and we amplify marginalised voices. We are rooted in local communities, but part of a global movement to reinvent local media. We are not for profit. We're led by our members, and we don't accept corporate advertising, which we're kind of all for. And we've talked about.
And I've read some of their articles in the past. I mean, really impressed with the nature of it and the areas they challenge. And
yeah, they've got a podcast which is really good. And we've talked about media a lot, haven't we?
Yeah.
You know, how everything is just, so polarized and no one's up for debate. And, it's most of the arguments are often driven by larger agendas, normally driven by the usual money grabbing mother lovers out there. So again, it's local, and we just thought we'd get involved with it, not just money, but we'll try and
I think one of the things
give them a shout out.
Yeah. So I mentioned to you just before Christmas going into a plant shop.
What, for a crane or a bulldozer? You can join in if you want. I'm here a week.
So it was with Ken Dodd's support act. I think it's pronounced Mila plants. Two reasons. One was that I actually spoke to the guy, which was like big for me, speaking to the person in the shop. But he spoke to me and forced me to reply by being nice and polite and engaging.
That went better than you thought it might be.
Yeah, I'm going, okay, I'll talk to you.
Hiding behind a plant. Can I help you, sir? Just silent. He won't notice me. He won't notice me.
Giant African rubber plant wrapped around my face. Come out of that Venus flytrap. Anyway, we had a conversation and things escalated quite quickly in terms that I mentioned the pod because I was looking at something called Bristol Made. I really like this guy. He's called Sam. His Insta stories are quite inspiring. I find his text inspiring. I find the picture of his plants inspiring. And this was the point that I wanted to make from this and the second story is I don't necessarily need any more plants, but I can certainly buy some and either give some to somebody or have them myself or, whatever. So it isn't like an either or. It isn't like, I could get something better on Amazon. It's like, if I buy something, and this guy's obviously had to shut his shop, he's had to set up a website to sell everything. He's doing free delivery over 25
His website's really
quid.
nice. Has he just knocked that up recently?
I know he's been adding to it recently because he's been putting all his stock on it. And it just inspired me. I think he was going free delivery over 25 quid. And I'm thinking, that's a lost leader. But you almost have to have free delivery now because people are going, I can get free delivery on Amazon.
Yeah.
So I just felt when I was there, just a little bit more virtuous, and it just felt. And also, we've been talking about the natural world and the plants there are gorgeous. So that was Sam. And as I said, we had that discussion of possibly doing a podcast in collaboration with him and the shop. Yeah, unfortunately, 8 weeks of lockdown have maybe stopped that as a location, but something we can take forward. But the last bit was the picture I did on my Insta story from Illicit.
Yes.
And this is a clothing brand in Bristol. And they just popped up on one of my Instagram feeds, and I just like it. I just like the word illicit. I like the stylizing of the logo. I just thought, rather than go yet again down to JD Sports, and get yet another T-shirt that with somebody else's logo on that isn't actually relevant to my life. So anyway, ordered a couple of things. And I ordered them at about midnight, sent them through, and there was an offer as well. Like, if you spend 20 quid, the two T-shirts were half price, which is, again, it's a really good offer there. That was midnight. At 11:30 the following morning, I got an email going, here's a picture of your T-shirts delivered outside your door. And so it's all like, I do Amazon convenient. This guy had got it from his house to my house in 11 and a half hours.
Yeah, it's good.
It looks really good and it's good quality and I'm going to buy some more. And then I thought, but I don't need any more for myself. So it's like the plants. I'll buy it and get, not you, but I'll give it.
No, I wouldn't expect it. I've had my present.
You got your biz, yeah. That's a year's worth. But do you know what I mean? I thought, well, just support them. They're trying. Yeah. They're local. Yeah. And I think I'd like to embrace stuff that's happening in Bristol and be more of a voice.
We're back in Vegas.
Yep.
First rule of being in Vegas, nobody talks about.
Take your mates.
Oh, yeah.
All of them.
God. Private joke.
Yeah. Which will be edited anyway.
I'm leaving that one.
Oh, yeah. How to influence people.
Yeah.
I know every time I say this, you look at me and go, you don't have to say this. People know you're not a scientist or a doctor.
I think it's always good to remind people.
I think it's good to remind people.
It's
I have no
get
background.
out of jail free card, isn't it?
Well, I think it was one of the things when I was...
We don't want anyone following this advice. I mean, lawsuits.
I think what we want is to become a catalyst for people to go, I'm interested in that.
Yeah, people doing graffiti and leaving their name on but we don't want to encourage things like that.
Bad practice.
Yeah.
I've taken a lot of time. I've done a lot of research. I've listened to podcasts, but there's always going to be two sides to every story. And that was one of the things that was interesting about Sam Harris today when he was doing his sort of look back on 2020, saying exactly as we'd said in some ways that the extremities are as bad as each other. So he was saying the sort of woke cancel culture is as bad as the extremities of the Trump culture. Yeah. That you're basically meeting. It isn't. You shouldn't be either or, because if you take it to its far end, that's the only bit I'm saying. That the Vegas. This is an eye opener. We mentioned it before. We'd left it hanging a little bit. It had some relevance to me personally in terms of my supraventricular tachycardia. Jump in and ask questions. I think I know enough to be able to outline it. I don't know enough to be able to
answer my questions.
Yeah. Yes.
But I'll ask them anyway.
So I looked at all the various descriptions, and I like this one that someone said the vagus nerve is a squiggly, shaggy, branching nerve connecting most of the major organs. And it does, when you see the pictures of it, it's a big old, looping thing.
Right,
sets up in your brain.
Whereabouts is it?
So it starts in your brain and goes down as far as your colon. So it's a great big nerve that runs through you. Yeah. Yeah, it's massive.
Oh, because when you were talking about...
You thought it was like this tiny thing.
Yeah, think it's just something in the back of your head or where your neck, a bit like the motor neuron. And that's what I was kind of thinking it might have been there. Because, of course, you've talked about the brain, heart and gut.
Yes.
And I just thought, that's telling something that... I didn't literally think
telepathic.
the whole...
It is.
Fly by wire.
It's like a whole number of branching nerves going out. Yeah, so there is a physical connection. It isn't just...
So it's not like one wire, it's lots of a combination of lots of nerves and all sorts.
Well, it's one particular... So it goes down on the left and right side of the body.
Cool.
And interesting, I thought, why Vegas? They'd say it's the wandering, so like a vagrant, because it sort of wanders amongst the organs. It's Vegas maybe comes from some Latin meaning vagrant or wandering.
Okay, cool.
So the thing was that we discussed before, which I think we were right on, despite the fact we didn't know it was a squiggly, shaggy.
It's Latin for wandering.
It's largely responsible for the mind-body connection, and this is the bit we were saying. And I think both you and I just thought it was, as we say, telepathy, and it isn't. It's actual physical stuff. I loved this as well. Someone said its role as a mediator between thinking and feeling. And then mention that when we were saying gut-wrenching. Yeah. But this person said also when people say trust your gut. And again, interesting.
It's your nerve.
And they should be saying trust your vagus nerve, because it's
cooler, isn't it?
Yeah.
Start saying that in a meeting. What does your vagus nerve say about that?
But soon this will be like, everyone will be talking about it.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about stimulating the vagus nerve. And I guess that's the one thing I struggled a bit with when I was reading was the stimulation to make it work better or more efficiently, or was it to wake it up? So I'm going to give examples of how you can stimulate it.
Cool.
Because I think one of the things we want was sort of takeaways on that.
Yeah, definitely.
The nerve listens to the way we breathe, and it sends the brain and the heart whatever message our breath indicates. So breathing slowly, for instance, reduces the oxygen demands and our heart rate drops. This was the one thing that fascinated me. We were talking the other day about the smelling the flower and the blowing out the candle. Yeah. And in some of the mindfulness I've done, it says 5 seconds in, 7 seconds out.
So is that disrupting your normal pattern?
It's slowing it down to about 6 breaths a minute.
So your body,
5 to 6
your brain
breaths
goes,
a minute.
hold on a minute.
Yeah. Why are we breathing slower?
Yeah. Sorry,
but
I'm always excited about this because I really love this subject.
So the outward breath is the one that slows the heart rate. But we're going to talk about fight and flight or freeze in a minute. But one of the things that I was thinking, oh no, if it's a big thing, people go, take a deep breath in. But the deep breath isn't necessarily to relax you, it's to prepare you.
Yeah.
You're about to go on stage.
Yeah.
Deep breath, here I go. I'm about to be in a tug of war team. Deep breath, we even do this in training, don't we? On pull exercises, you take the deep breath in. So the outward should be, if possible, longer. And so that gives a message then to the brain. We'll refer to this in a minute as the parasympathetic nervous system. I think the better way to call it is rest and digest, the chill out nervous system. So what happens is that the more we do to stimulate it or activate it, the more we banish the sympathetic nervous system, which is the flight or fight. But I do want to put freeze in, because one thing I've been doing on mindfulness, it isn't just flight or fright. We talked about the bears. Do you run from a bear? Do you fight it? Yeah. Or if you're cornered in a cave with 8, you freeze and you just give in, sort of thing.
Right.
So this is the whole thing. It's about the vagus nerve is giving a message through your breathing. One of the things which is just going to kick on very quickly, but I'm not going to talk about, was the link with the gut in terms of the microbiome, because that's something that we've heard about.
Yes.
So here's another thing that I would like to say that we might try. I drink kefir a lot, and this is basically going that the good bacteria in your gut are then having a very positive effect.
Yeah.
But you can grow your own kefir, so that's next on my list of things to start.
Isn't it like milk?
Yes, but you put grains. They're called grains, but they're almost like bacteria. And once you get it going in the milk,
a bit like yeast. You can kind of keep
growing it.
Keep growing.
Yeah, I just thought for our business idea, there we go, a kefir farm.
Give that a go.
Well, we wanted doing something natural, didn't we? So one of the things it was saying here is the most important function, or one of the most important functions of the vagus nerve is afferent, meaning bringing the information of the inner organs to the brain. Afferent is the name of coming inwards for a nerve, I think. So this suggests that the inner organs are major sources of sensory information. And I put here on my little list, we have more than 5 senses. Mm-hmm. And we do, because we are taught at school, you have 5 senses. That's ridiculous. Your instinct, the feeling, the messages that your gut and your colon and your stomach are giving to your brain is another sense, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another. Yeah.
You can have an instinctive sense. You can have an intuitive sense.
Yeah.
And I thought this is quite interesting. Why are we taught there's 5 in terms of like, that's it. Don't go looking for any more. And they're saying, obviously, that the gut has the largest surface area. I mean, it's like miles, isn't it? And it's sort of, even the bacteria, well, the organisms such as bacteria and yeasts and viruses and everything that actually lives in your digestive tract weighs more than 2 kilos, which I hadn't, I just think bacteria being almost like invisible little things, but there's 2 kilos of these things actively working. So very, very quickly on the functions, then I want to get onto the stimulation part. So number of different functions. It's sensory from the throat, heart, lungs, and abdomen. It provides taste sensation behind the tongue. Movement functions for the muscles in the neck, responsible for swallowing and speech. So it is very much this rest and digest. It is the whole process of eating and everything. Vagus nerve has an influence on that. And it's responsible for the digestive tract, respiration, and heart rate functioning. And we're not going to go in, although I've made notes. Basically, there's a massive link between the vagus nerve and the heart condition that I had for those 11 days back in November. Yeah. Some of the things we're going to say about how to stimulate are actually ways of stopping SVT.
Right, okay.
So we mentioned the communications between the brain and the gut, which is what we said before. Mm-hmm. We mentioned earlier today the stress hormone cortisol and adrenaline in your body. The vagus nerve tells your body to chill out by releasing something, acetylcholine, I think it's called. So the vagus nerve, the tendrils from it, and this is the thing I think that both you and I hadn't realized, this sort of physical element to it. Yeah. The tendrils that the nerves have give instructions to release certain enzymes which actually calm you down. So if you have a stronger vagus response, you're sending these signals out to your body. And so one of the things that they found, one of the decreases is decreases of inflammation, which is interesting.
By relaxing, by calming it down.
Yeah. So it was saying that inflammation after injury or illness is normal. And we had this talk about Brian as well, the difference between rest and rehab. And, you know, it isn't always just stretching sometimes. Sometimes having the pain and everything is there for a reason.
Yeah, sure.
There's a vast network of fibers all around your organs. The message it gets from the gut goes to the brain and says, send out neurotransmitter that regulate the body's immune response. So it basically tells the gut saying to the brain, I'm in a bit of trouble here. And the vagus nerve goes, this is what you need to do about it.
Right.
One of the things we'll touch on in a couple of minutes is one of the neurotransmitters that's released is serotonin, which is key for sleep.
Yeah.
So this is when we get down in a minute to how you can stimulate or activate the nerve.
Right.
These are sort of the real life things. So a lot of the stuff we're talking about here is sort of things that happen just like breathing and your heart beating. They just happen to keep you alive.
Sure.
What we're saying about this is happening, but you can influence it.
Yeah.
So you can make the vagus nerve
It's
better
doing it
at
for
what it's
you,
doing.
or you can make it change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it actually said that overstimulation of the vagus nerve is the most common cause of fainting. So it's called vagal syncope. It's the way your body responds to stress. So an overstimulation of the vagus nerve causes your blood pressure and heart rate to drop like too much. Blood flow is restricted to your brain and you lose consciousness. So it's often people go, I don't like the sight of blood, or I don't want to get an injection, and think, oh, I'm not good with those. But it's actually the vagus nerve that's sending a signal out.
Yeah.
Everything slows down to such an extent that you can end up fainting.
I think I had vagal syncope when I got the pheasant out of the packaging at Christmas.
Okay.
Because its legs were tucked up its own arse, and as I took off the wrapping, all the legs just kind of unfurled from its back end, and I just went, and I kind of went white.
You aren't the bravest, are you?
No, delicate flower.
Yeah.
And then I just had to stand there. I thought I was going to faint, so I didn't stand there going, "Oh, vagal syncope, vagal syncope."
Nothing to see here. Yeah.
But now I know what it was.
Yeah.
Is it knocking you out so you don't have to look at that thing anymore? You know, do you know what I mean? Or is it just making you feel so unwell you stop doing that thing?
I think it's overstimulated in terms that the way I read it is that if it's the chill out, if it provides that sense of, it was one of the things I read was saying about, and I know this from the mindfulness and the 5 seconds in, 7 seconds out, but one of the things they were saying about this slowing down your breathing to around 6 in and out breaths per minute.
Yeah.
Rather than, I think it's like 12 we do normally. Our breath is a lot more. Yeah. You don't actually think that you're breathing, are you?
No, if I start thinking about it, I'll stop.
Yeah, or you'll change the way you breathe. And in some ways, there is some work on, because I said to you with my heart, I was looking in terms of vagus nerve stimulation through, devices. Yeah. But I thought the first place to look at was how you can do it yourself, basically. So the deep, slow breathing is an obvious, free, easy.
Yeah.
We've already touched on that.
Yeah.
Other things that have actually stimulated, laughing, singing, humming. And it's interesting, some of the sort of yogis and some of the religious ceremonies where humming is quite a big thing. And is it in yoga, you sort of, they mention yoga and acupuncture.
Yeah.
And interesting, after what we said last week, splashing the face with cold water actually stimulates the vagus nerve.
Okay.
So yes, we come full circle that the people going, have a cold shower for a minute, are doing it for maybe physical type reasons, but it ties back to the stimulation of the vagus nerve, to the physical benefits come from a mental process, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's called a diving reflex. If you splash cold water on your face from your lips to your scalp line, this stimulates the diving reflex.
Of just diving into water?
Yes. This slows your heart rate, increases blood flow to your brain, reduces anger and relaxes your body. An additional technique that stimulates the diving reflex is to submerge your tongue in liquid. Drink and hold lukewarm water in your mouth, sensing the water with your tongue. So there's obviously sensory things here that are stimulating. And I guess these are probably even going back to sort of way back in the day when, I don't know, when we didn't have any of the other causes of stimulation, but certain sort of natural resources would the one response you don't want to do when you dive headfirst into water is to start panicking and have a high heart rate.
Yeah.
You want to have that element of control.
Yeah.
And the one last sort of summary on this that I thought was very good was, it says regulation of the nervous system relies upon the Goldilocks principle. And I like this as the takeaway. We recognize we are too hot when we feel keyed up, anxious, irritable, or panicky. Mm-hmm. We do. It's that physical, spiky.
Yeah, I just took my jumper off for that very reason. Freaking out.
But we are too cold when we are shut down, depressed, or feeling hopeless.
God, yeah.
Isn't it? I'd never even thought of that. If I was in,
I just thought it was the heating was off this morning.
Yeah. But you can be in a low place and everything feels grey and a bit shivery and a bit...
Yeah, and there's when you can't... Yeah, when at those times when you can't get warm.
Yeah.
No matter how many clothes you put on, you're generally feeling a bit
But anxiety is hot. It's those sort of like hot flushes and those hot sort of that nervous sweats.
Yeah.
So Sometimes we alternate between the two, which is like driving with one foot on the gas and one on the brakes.
Like you, yeah.
Yeah. No
Seatbelt
seatbelts off. Practices that regulate the vagus nerve to aim towards either relaxing or re-energizing ourselves, depending on what is needed to feel just right. And I thought that sums it up.
Just right.
Balance.
Oh, amen.
Amen.
That was good, actually, because I text Brian before we recorded today, and you started talking about that, and it's almost like you knew.
Mm-hmm.
You just knew, didn't you?
Instinctive.
You know, Arthur Bogwhistle, you know, who said we were titting about.
Yeah.
I think he just needs to
splash some water on his face.
yeah, and have another listen.
Yeah.
I think he'll realise that the future is about titting about.
Yeah. Well,
things are too serious, aren't they?
Well, yeah, but we're multidimensional, aren't we? We basically brought the economy in Bristol back on its feet.
Yeah. By you single-handedly buying plants.
Is that what you mean? 8 grand's still a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I can just imagine the house just full of leaves. That's it for this episode. Well done for getting this far, and thanks for listening. Please make sure you subscribe to us and give us a 5-star rating and or review on Apple Podcasts. Give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at I'mFinecast, and you can send us an email to imfinecast@gmail.com in the next episode. Well, you tied it up beautifully. You talked about rest, rehab and recovery.
Mm-hmm.
I got Brian on the...
Has he said yes?
No. He hasn't said no.
Perfect.
Yet.
You didn't ask him long ago, did you?
I am winging it and putting this in.
Well,
I say, Brian, we have to do it because I've recorded it.
Yeah, and I looked on his Insta and he was saying, please just think about doing virtual work.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it shows, number one, that I read his Instagram. Mm-hmm. And secondly,
he'll be delighted.
Basically, he now has to, because he's actually said publicly he should be investing in virtual communications.
Yes, there we are. He's literally crying
stitched
out.
Himself up.
Yes, isn't he? Like a kipper.
What does that mean?
And we got, I don't know, actually. Yeah. Are we right? We done?
We're done.
Cool. See you in the next one.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.